So I first met Mayor De La Isla back when she was working, she was executive director for Habitat for Humanity, and we sat beside each other on a bus, headed to Oklahoma City for a visit it was an inner city visit, and it was one when they were really trying to figure out how to get young professionals more engaged in the city. And really, it was one of the first efforts. That was when we were young, Michelle. Remember back then? That was like 10
Oh,
years.
I do.
So, what I found so wonderful about Michelle is she's an inspiration. She's internally motivated, and she's got a crazy work ethic, and she loves her family, and she loves the city, and she loves every person she meets. She has literally, I don't know, between you and Marlu Wagner, you two have the best hugs in the world. Like, all of your problems can go away just because she taps in and gives you a hug. So I'm going to let you speak. You are running for Congress, which we are so excited and proud that you're doing that. I love it. And I'm so excited for you. But you've also done so many other things. So I'll let you take it away. And I'm going to work through a few challenges on my Zoom stuff. But you go ahead.
All right. Well, ladies, good morning. It is so exciting to be with all of you today on what I will call forevermore Jailbreak Day. Because as you may know, I was put on quarantine last week and I spent several days at home. And even though thank God I didn't have COVID, the symptoms that I had were pretty similar to the virus, and I was pretty knocked out. I'm excited about being with you guys for my inaugural outing and being able to just speak with you guys. So I dressed up for you ladies. Hope that you enjoy that. Just kidding. So I was asked today to talk to you a little bit about motivation and hopefully to pump you all up, because all of you are business owners. And something that a lot of people don't know about me is that at one point in my life, I had my own small business. It was DLI Cleaning and Home Services. In addition to that, I've also done some consulting on the side. And you may ask, wait a second, she said DLI Cleaning and Home Services. What does she do? I used to clean houses for a living. And I did it very proudly. It's one of the things that I know that I'm really good at. And it was something that for me, everything that drives me is what can I do to provide for my family that is legal, honest, and ethical, right? And at that point in my life, I was a married person with my husband at the time, was working his job, and I had 2 babies. And in order for me to be able to feed my family, it was really easy for me to grab a pack and play and put both of the girls in the pack and play and me clean a house. So believe it or not, I happily, very happily cleaned houses. So yes, I cleaned other people's bathrooms. I always tell that to my girls to remind them that there is no job that is absolutely too small. And why does that matter? It matters because a lot of times, especially as business owners, we are always concerned with regards to what we're doing. And as women, we have a habit of minimizing everything that we do and not wanting to ascribe the importance of what we have in our hands because we don't think that we are maybe worthy and capable, and we are always trying to figure out how we could better ourselves before we go to the next step, right? And tacking that back to what Tara just said, here I am today in this new enterprise of running for Congress, still carrying the same values that shaped me when I was cleaning houses. So I want for all of you to just pause for a minute, and I know this is gonna sound kind of crazy. So most of you are home, so you're not gonna feel weird about doing this, but I want you to take a second. And I want you to think about your wildest dream. I want you to think if you had, and I tell this often to my girls, if you had a magic wand and you were able to craft the future that you wanted for yourself and for your children and for the people that you love, what are your talents? What are the places that make your heart sing? What are the places that no matter how hard the work is, that you feel alive? I'm going to give you a few seconds for you to do that. Okay, so hopefully you have an image in your head. Now that you have that image of what you would love, I hope that your heart is feeling happy. I want you to start thinking, what is holding you back from going there? So as a business owner, you more than likely are already engaging in that dream. And you're trying to figure out maybe whether this dream is profitable, whether this dream can help me feed my family, whether this can help me achieve what I want to do. Is this my portion of greater good for the world? What I want to tell you is, if you are not where you want to be, I want to ask you to stop and ask yourself why you're not doing that. I am going to be really open and honest with regards to some things in my life journey that I've been very open about. I would have never, if you would have asked me probably, I would say 10 years ago, if you would have asked me if I would ever be in a public service position, if you would have ever asked me if I would have had the caliber to lead a nonprofit organization, if you would have ever asked me if my life had even any worth, probably 10 to 15 years ago, you would have been talking to a completely different person. Actually, a person that Tara Dimmick got to meet. Because while everybody was having a great time in the bus and in Oklahoma City, I spent a lot of my time quiet, observing everything in my head, trying to understand what the heck I was doing in those rooms. Trying to understand, how did I get invited to go to Oklahoma City with all these city leaders, and what impact could I possibly have? So I just remember just sitting there feeling absolutely inadequate. I'm good at one-on-one, believe it or not. I'm not good if you throw me out into a big group. And I don't know a lot of people. I am very much, but I know that this is hard for some people to believe, but if you throw me in a group of people and I don't know a lot of people, I'll be the one that's really quiet watching everybody. And it was extremely difficult for me to sit there and to try to figure out what my worth was, because what I kept on thinking of myself was every single thing that I had been told by other people that I was. And like many women do, I always was trying to always second guess myself, because I never took the time to cultivate myself, cultivate my own voice, because I was always allowing other people's voices to speak over mine. And it wasn't until I was able to find a group of people that I could trust and have people feed into me. And one of the things that I'm saying, one of the reasons that I'm saying this is because as business owners, sometimes it's a really lonely place, because you are running your business, you are trying to stay on top and large, and you are trying to project the sense of competence that you feel like if you open up and you're vulnerable to somebody else and you share some of your challenges or you share some of your needs, maybe you won't be seen as competent, right? But as women, we're not wired that way. We need to have safe people that we can go to and be open, and then have people feed into us. As women, we want to feed others on a regular basis. We were socially, we were told that we are nurturers, that we are caretakers. This is what we do, right? We are best when we are doing everything for everybody else. But you have to come into a point in your life in which you say, you know what, I'm drained and I'm not feeling great. And maybe, just maybe, I need some help because I'm having some second thoughts about myself. And it wasn't until I started becoming vulnerable with myself and getting to meet people like Tara. Tara is a ray of sunshine that if you have any doubts of your capacity of doing something, she will put a spark and light a fire in places that will make you want to do things that you would have never thought that you were going to do. So find yourself a Tara. Find yourself a Tara Dimick in your life. Find yourself a Felicia Glass that will call you on your thing, even when you least expect it. You'll get a text message from Felicia Glass that says, I know you're not okay. What is going on? How can I help you? Who are the core people? I'm inviting you today to understand that you are always going to be the average of the 7 people that you spend the most time with, okay? So who are the 7 people that you're surrounding yourself with? Who are some of the 7 individuals, maybe 2 or 3 people that maybe are not healthy for you? As you develop in your business, and I'm speaking about finding yourself and finding your voice, because it's important for you in any endeavor you take, especially in the business world. If you, as a business owner, are not able to understand why you're doing this, and you're not feeling the passion, and your heart is not engaged in this, and you are not in a place where you have people to help you and support you, and you don't have your ecosystem set up, it's just like the foundation of a house. Your business will not succeed. So today, I want to encourage all of you to just be vulnerable. Develop a board of women or individuals that are going to be your accountability partners, that are going to be able to feed into you while you are feeding into others, that are going to be able to question you when you need to be questioned, and that are going to tell you that not everything smells like roses, because you need to have that group of people. You need to have people to challenge you, but you also need to make sure that the people that are challenging you are doing it from a good place. A lot of times we are especially, I'll share with you a very personal story. I believe in mentors, significantly believe in mentors. There is a person in this community that was a mentor of mine when I started the Women's Entrepreneurial Society. As a past business owner, I've always been very engaged with the chamber, and we started through Go Topeka a long time ago, this group called the West, and we would bring in a whole bunch of women and help them find inspiration, find togetherness as women business owners. A lot of what Tara's doing, but in a very small way, nothing like what she's doing in our community. And this mentor even gave me this book that I still have in my house that's called Going Backwards on Heels. And it was this really inspirational tale on how women in the workplace have to work 7 times harder. And the best analogy that the author came up with was she was walking backwards on heels. This mentor, it was really easy for that mentor to support me because I was providing something for that mentor. However, I can tell you that I knew that something was not right. And when the moment was opportune, that mentor immediately flipped because they were interested in something that I was interested in. And it's really interesting. You have to be very careful when you're choosing your mentors. Not everybody wants what's best for you. As women, we know our gut, we know our instinct. So I'm encouraging you all to right now just try to figure out as you're looking at your circle, who are voices that are in your head and in your life that are telling you things that are not constructive. And if they are in a role of a mentor, it is your responsibility to remove them. So here I am sitting on a bus, figuring out what the heck I'm doing in that bus. Because I was a divorced single mom with a kiddo with special needs that was trying to even pay her bills, with a whole bunch of medical bills, and feeling like a complete imposter. I started opening up myself, I started being vulnerable, started sharing my story, and guess what happened? In the middle of me starting to share my story, I found that all of the things that I considered that made me less than were the things that actually made me more human and more able to connect with other people. And then I found my voice. So vulnerability leads to people feeding into you, which leads to you starting to find out about yourself and erasing all those voices of other people that then empower you to find your voice and use your experiences as your strength. Now I'm going to ask you for another moment of reflection. A lot of times in business and in life, we hold ourselves back from our past experiences. What is that one experience that you are holding on to that you would never share with anybody else, that completely scarred you, that you've been holding on to? And that when you think about it, it's the trigger point in every relationship that you have. You got that? I'm sure you do, because all of us have one. I'm going to invite all of you to think about that experience and figure out how you could use that experience to benefit others. The best things that you can do come from sometimes the most challenging things that we've been able to overcome. I want you to remember that sometimes when you overcome something very tragic, it creates a pathway not only for you to be on the other side, because obviously you've survived it, right? But what you sometimes miss out on is that even though that journey may not be for everybody to share, because it's exhausting to share and it's scary to share, that journey may just be somewhere that you find that you have ultra strength and experience to help guide somebody else forward. And many of us have chosen to have a field of work of empowering others through what our journeys are. That is your superpower. So understand that the experiences that you have survived through in life don't define you. They make you a superhero. They give you strength and wisdom and knowledge in things that nobody else ever has. So don't ever be ashamed of your scars in your journey. Be proud of the fact of where you are at today when you look back and you look at where you were. Own it. Own it, because it makes you you. So I wanted to make sure that I had enough time to answer any questions that anybody had, but I do want to wrap up with this. As you are doing the role of business owner, as you are doing the role of, some of you are mom, some of you are wife, some of you are partner, you are a business owner. You have 1,000 other roles because you are sister, you are daughter, you are all these other things that people put on you. Remember that you are a worthwhile, amazing human being that has endless capacity to give and to do. Don't allow your past to define you. If I would have allowed my past to define me, I would have been stuck at the first words that my father told me. And I would have been stuck at when my mom told me when I chose to have my son that I was never going to accomplish anything. However, I have used all of that fuel to help other people never feel that way. What's your passion? What makes your heart sing? Pursue it. Pursue it. Dance like nobody else is watching you. And you know what? When you do that, you give other people permission to do the same. So I'm going to stop because I am not great at just talking at people. I'm great at one-on-one discussion, question and answer. So Tara, if you want to open it up for questions, I am more than happy to have a more meaningful discussion with people.
Yeah, I would love that. So people can
beware, if you ask a question, they'll get an answer.
Okay, so ask your questions in the chat. If you ask, I may actually try to bring you on too, because that's kind of nice to be able to actually have that back and forth. So we're gonna maybe attempt that. Joanne says that was awesome, but I agree, that was awesome, and you could keep talking at us, and I think we would just keep listening and listening. So one of the first, I want to praise the choices and the path that you've taken, and to show so many other people of like how a journey is not. There's not these stopping points on a journey. They're just these building points. But within the challenge of choosing political, you get a different type of beat up that happens, and business owners get it too. So I found those two arenas to have these weird similarities where people just for some reason don't refrain from just telling you exactly what they think. So how do you overcome some of those punches in the gut and keep moving forward? How do you do that?
You know, I have learned to understand that sometimes individuals just need to yell and express their voice. And sometimes it's just important to let somebody say what they need to say. Now, I was incredibly amazed from going from a regular citizen that somebody would see me on the street and say, "Oh, excuse me, ma'am, I'm so sorry," to all of a sudden becoming elected and a few weeks later receiving an email that says, "You effing boom, 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 you're an idiot," and you're sitting there going, "What happened?" But what I've learned is that a lot of times there's and here's what I think. There's individuals that are absolutely upset, and this is a way of life. And sometimes you have to understand that if this is a pattern of behavior, what you allow lingers. So there's got to be a point in time in which you're like, okay, this is a pattern of behavior that I'm not going to accept. I understand that you're upset, but you do not have the right to speak to me this way. If you want to talk to me, let me know how I can support you or help you. I'm happy to do that. There's also a lot of individuals that get very upset because they've never been heard. You have no idea. One of the things that we have been doing as mayor is that we still go to the neighborhood improvement associations. Obviously, this year with COVID, not happening, but and the faces of people that have never been heard, and they get very upset. It's like, "Oh, you're the mayor. What are you going to do about this?" And then you start explaining to people, and then it's just like, "Oh," and then people just feel good about being heard. So you have to understand that people may or may not have a full understanding of your role. may or may not have um, the tools to be able to express their anger and frustration in the same way that you and I now can. And that we sometimes have to give people grace. And then there's some nights that you just go home and have a glass of wine and just go to sleep. There's nights that you just cry it off, but at the end, you cannot let those things stick. And trust me, I am bracing myself for God knows what in this race, but it's okay. In the end, I believe in the inherent good of people, and I choose to keep believing in that. And that's what you have to do every single day. People are good. In my heart, people are good. So
That's awesome. That's awesome.
I'll shut
Okay,
off.
so Abby has a question. So I've got her on. Abby, are you there? I saw you unmute yourself, so I'm thinking you're available.
I am. Can you hear me?
We can.
Yes. Hi, Abby.
Awesome. Hello, hello. First, thank you so much for your inspiring chat. I've loved the last few minutes of listening to you. So thank you so much. Okay, so my question is, I am interested in, so I am a rule follower to the max. And so I am interested in how we as business owners can cooperate, work with the government and government officials during this really interesting time, especially when policies are directly affecting how we're allowed to run and operate our business. For a background, I own and run the Brownstone, so we're a wedding and event venue. And so we are on the phone with the health department daily. We were their first call this morning at 9 a.m. And so as I call them, they know, like, good morning, Abby. Here's the information. And so we're trying so hard to have the correct information and share that. And I just wonder, is there anything more we can be doing to work with, help communicate with government officials and make sure we're doing it correctly?
You know, that's a wonderful question, and let me acknowledge how difficult these times are. I wish that I could put bets on what's going to change on a daily basis, because it's so challenging because we have four levels of governments that are engaging in this. You have the federal, you have the state, you have the city, and you have the county, right? And it seems that many times when one group says one thing, then another group comes up with another legislation. And depending on which group says it, one trumps the other. And then we end up having to call people, and then we're changing documentation. So this is like having to hit a moving target. My recommendation to you is, right now, this is a health department matter. And the county is right now leading a lot of the decision making with this, because they run the health department. Who is your county commissioner?
That is a great question. We've been calling the Shawnee County Health Department is who we've been calling, and they have, I think, daily meetings with the commissioner.
Well, and that's because I was going to say, I think it's important as a business owner, you should be able to have a direct line to your commissioner. And not that your commissioner is going to have the answers, but here's the deal. When decisions are being made by the health department, they listen a lot to what the constituents are telling the commissioners. Remember that as elected officials, we are a conduit of your voice. And sometimes our voice and reality and science are not going to match. So it's a good commissioner, a good mayor, a good council person will be the person that will be working with you, helping you understand why something is happening, and having to figure out a way of finding ourselves in the middle. So if you're calling the health department every morning, that is the best place to call. But if you want to start building a relationship with your government officials, figure out who your commissioner is, figure out who your council member is, and then figure out how you just, even if it's a call, hey, I just wanted to introduce myself. We're a business. Come, let me introduce you to my business. Have you been into the Brownstone? Wanted to show you what we have to offer. We're an asset in your community. Thank you very much. That's it. And then just make sure that you follow up whenever you have need. But once you make that initial contact, it's so important. So I would recommend that you get to figure out who your commissioner is. You know who the mayor is. So hi, great to meet you, Abby. If you ever need me, give me a call. but figure out who your council member is and who your commissioner is. And that way you could also have that other layer of communication that is going to be so vital for you.
That was fantastic. Thank you so much.
Awesome. So I'd love to give you just a second to have some last words if you have some to share with us. But I have one quick question, and it is
Totally.
kind of touched on it with women and how we work. But can you speak just a little bit to maybe the differences between men and women and some of the challenges you've seen within that or overcome, or maybe you haven't?
No, I have. And I will be really honest. And Tara has heard me say the spiel in many, many chats that I speak with women. But here's the deal, ladies. There is no room to be catty. What I have learned is that men are able to have an argument and talk about really crucial things. And then after they're done with the day, they go out and they play golf and they have a beer together and they put all this stuff behind them. Women are much more emotional. So when we have a challenge or a disagreement, there's two dynamics that I've seen. Either there's like this brash of emotion, it's like, you cannot tell me this, how dare you, blah, 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 blah. And then you hold on to that emotion, right? And then what ends up happening is that you turn to another woman and you're like, you're not going to believe what so-and-so did to me. But you never take the time to go back to that woman and tell her and have that crucial conversation. Hey, what happened just now was not acceptable. And I'm still going to love you no matter what. But this dynamic cannot continue. And those are things that as women, we need to be able to have those conversations with each other. There is no need to try to shove a woman to the side in order for you to be successful. The pie is big enough for us. And one of the things that has been extremely powerful for me as a mayor is the fact that I have other women in the council, and that I have women in that bench as a city attorney, and that I have people like Tara that when I didn't have a voice could amplify my voice. And that is where true power comes from. Voice amplification is so important. I cannot tell you how many times I've been in a boardroom and I say something because I'm the only woman, and I'll say this, a woman of color as well. And all of a sudden it's like completely overlooked. And then a gentleman says the same thing that I say, and it's like, oh, that's a great idea. So what I invite all of you ladies to do is to start amplifying your sister's voice. She says something, somebody says it. No, you know, Tara said the same thing. I absolutely agree with what Tara was saying. That is a fabulous thing to do. Don't hold on to stuff emotionally and chew at it and let it eat you. Make sure that you go to your friend or to somebody that confronted you with something that was crucial and say, hey, let me have a conversation with you because I really want to dig into what you had to say a little bit more. And it's hard because we're wired to be emotional creatures, right? But I think that it's extremely important that we learn where is a healthy place for us to do that, but also how to have that, eliminate the Kansas nice stuff and be able to have that crucial conversation. My best friend and I, we could have some really hard conversations. And even though we have different styles, and sometimes she's like, she lawyers the crap out of me, and I'm like, I'm not gonna let you lawyer me. We're done. When you're done talking to yourself, you let me know. And then she'll look at me and she'll come back 2 days later and she's like, B, you were right. Or, you know, no, you were not right. And this is why you were not right. But guess what? The healthiest relationships are the ones that push you in a good way, people that love you. So don't hold on to stuff. Don't push other women down. Amplify women's voices and make sure that you're willing to have conversations that build you up. It is so important. I tell you what, I've always been scared of having women friendships, and now I just absolutely cherish the amazing women that I have in my life. Tara's one friend that I know for years. We've worshiped together, we've seen our kids grow up together, and we may not talk to each other in years. But if Tara Demick calls me and says, I need something, I will pick up the darn phone. And vice versa. Mm-hmm. So just make sure that you cultivate that and make sure that you are kind to other women. Be kind to other women.
That was awesome. That was just perfect. That was exactly what we needed to hear. And I love getting to see you. We don't see you enough because you're so busy with this whole running for Congress thing. And I wish you the best of luck. Any last comments about running for Congress? You're here. You get to talk with a few of these women.
Yes. Do it. Do it. Run for office. Run for office. And if you don't want to run for office right now because you're still dealing with, like I was dealing with, like, oh my God, my life is not perfect. And I see how ugly things get. Look, things get ugly anywhere. But you know what? It is not until we have a diversity of voices like you as women with your own experiences, that are mothers, that are business owners, that have gone through your own steps, that we will not have leadership that represents your perspective. So God willing, next year there's going to be a mayor position open. Are you going to run for mayor? Please do it. Are you going to run for school board like Tara did? Please do it. There is nothing holding you back. And if you don't know what you're going to do, come volunteer in my race. Come volunteer in somebody else's race. Go figure out the excitement of being able to participate. Figure out how you can engage with it. You can start getting the experience, because I tell you something, there is no book ever written on how to be the perfect mayor, council person, school board member, congressman, president. There is no book. You walk into these roles and you do the best that you can, and you manage it with your heart and with your integrity, doing what you know is based on your experience, with the willingness of listening to other people so that you can grow in these seats. So please get engaged. And please, for Pete's sakes, whether it's for me or for somebody else, engage and vote. Please vote. Is the least that you can do. We're celebrating 100 years this year of women having the right to vote. Don't forget the fact that we were not able to do so a while back.
Ah. All right. Well, Michelle, I know you've got other things to go do and take care of. And it's awesome. We're getting everybody saying thank you. And it was inspiring. And thanks for investing the time in us.
Absolutely. My pleasure. You ladies have a fabulous day.
Thank you.
Bye.
All right, ladies. I'm going to bring on Angel and move her to a panelist, Angel Zimmerman, and Beth Ann Brandon. Let's see here. See if I get you both up there. All right. I'll let them turn on their screens and do all that part. That was awesome. Wow. Kind of takes your breath away.